Woke students panic as diversity plummets at elite universities. Coming from the Boston Globe, jarring. New England students lament a plunge in diversity at campuses since affirmative action ruling. This is really the first new school year where people get to see, okay, what's the diversity like now that the Supreme Court decided you cannot discriminate against people based on their skin color, based on their race, based on their sexual preferences. You have to not use affirmative action when dealing with applications for college students. And at many elite universities, not all of them, but many of them, they have less black applicants and they have less diversity because they applied normal merit-based standards instead of affirmative action when they selected appropriate students for the schools. Brown University sophomore Elena Rivas Marte worried how the campus might change after the Supreme Court banned race-conscious admissions a year ago. They're really race-discriminatory admissions. This fall, her fears were realized when the class of incoming freshmen included significantly fewer students of color. Quote, "It was very jarring, honestly, but not surprising," Marte, who is from Boston and studying economics and education, said on a recent cloudy afternoon on the picturesque campus. The number of students from historically underrepresented groups plunged 9 percentage points from a year ago. Quote, "Affirmative action was so important in ensuring that students of color were entering universities like the Ivy Leagues, like Brown." Brown is among several top universities in New England to report sharp declines among students of color, particularly those who identify as Black and Hispanic, enrolling this fall. If the students are not appropriate for the school because they don't get in based on merit, then they shouldn't be there. It's not good for the students. It's not good for the school. And when the students leave the university eventually and get their degrees, whether they earn the degrees or not, they're going to have to actually function in the real world. And you don't want to be somewhere in the real world in a job that's just not suited for you. DEI is being phased out of corporations now. So they might phase it out later in some of these colleges and some of these universities. But you don't want to go somewhere and get an education that's not going to suit you for a job that you can actually use when you leave the college. There's an expression that goes, "It's not what you know, it's who you know." But yes, that's true. It's good to have networks and contacts, but at some point you have to know how to do something. And that's why returning college admissions to merit is so important. Learn what you can learn, know what you can know, and go make a lot of money doing whatever it is you're actually good at doing. Colleges such as Yale and Princeton have fared better so far. Higher education experts say it's too soon to draw long-term conclusions based on the new data. But interviews with students at Brown, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and Amherst College revealed deep unease about the future of diversity on campuses, especially at elite institutions. The students fear that fewer students of color could mean classes that lack wider perspectives from peers who hail from different backgrounds. Some were concerned about a decline of community and mentors from those who share similar experiences. Others worried that if the trends continue, higher education could harken back to an era where students of color were excluded from elite institutions. There was discrimination at elite institutions where they would not let you in if you were Jewish or if you had a different skin color or a race that they didn't like. That's absolutely true. It's not that way anymore. And judging people based on merit is different from judging people based on skin color or based on their religion. Clarissa Thorne-Disla, a Brown sophomore from New York City and a section editor at the Black publication, the Black Star Journal, said she noticed a change on campus this fall even before the enrollment numbers were revealed. Quote, "Walking around campus, being near the freshman dorms, you could tell there's significantly less Black students," she said. Thorne-Disla said having more Black and Hispanic students at Brown was important to show that access at Ivy League institutions was open to everyone. Yeah, but it's an Ivy League institution, meaning it's an exclusive institution. It's exclusive not because it's just a bunch of fancy schmancy people. It's exclusive because it's supposed to be hard to get into. And you're supposed to study and be a good student and have a good resume and show that you accomplished a variety of things before you get the opportunity to apply to that kind of an institution to show that you belong at an elite university because you personally are elite. Whether it's based on your grades, or other activities that are spectacular that are outside your normal education. You're supposed to be able to put together like a resume, a dossier, a background that shows you're a special person, you're elite, so you belong at an elite university. However, she lamented a possible future in which fewer students look like her. Quote, I guess we'll just see less of ourselves around campus, which is really sad, she said. Such concerns extend beyond students of color. Simon Rosenblum, a Brown sophomore from Nashville studying physics and mathematics, worried that college life might become a less rich experience. High grades were typical at Brown, he said, but what added to the education was the different outlooks about the world that student diversity brings to classes. Quote, there's an abundance of people with good grades, said Rosenblum. Quote, that is not a unique thing, but perspective is unique. Diversity is perspective. Well, I mean, you are 19 years old, Mr. Rosenblum, and no, it's not important to just be around people that don't look like you. It's important to be around people who have been able to accomplish what you've been able to accomplish, assuming that you got into this school based on your merit. I have no idea. Because then you're around people that are at your level mentally, and you can discuss things with them and understand things. As Mr. Rosenblum will figure out when he's older than 19 years old, we do tend to think that when we're teenagers, we know everything about the world. We kind of don't know everything about the world when we're at 19 years old. Brian Clark, Brown University's spokesperson, said the college anticipated there could be fewer students of color admitted this year following the Supreme Court's ruling. Quote, Brown's commitment to implementing lawful measures to ensure a diverse, talented applicant pool and enrolled class was essential in avoiding a more precipitous decrease in racial and socioeconomic diversity. To help admit more students of color, he said, the university will reintroduce standardized test scores as part of its requirement for admission that he said will be interpreted in the context of a student's background. Brown will also ramp up college pathway programs and work with community-based organizations to help attract a more diverse group of students. MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, also said the court decision was to blame for a drop of 9 percentage points in its cohort of first-year students who identify as Black, Hispanic, Native American, or Pacific Islander. Nana Anon, an 18-year-old MIT freshman from Accra, Ghana, said the ruling last June in 2 lawsuits challenging admissions practices at Harvard University and the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill made her question whether to attend college in the United States. Because she's from Ghana. So, I mean, I don't know what she's doing in the United States attending our schools anyway. Actually, I do. A lot of people come from overseas, and that's probably okay and appropriate in a lot of cases. But here's somebody with an attitude who's been given an opportunity to come to the United States, the best country with the best education you could possibly get anywhere in the world. That's why people come from as far as Ghana and China and every other country to just try to get to our elite institutions because they want a valuable education for the rest of their lives. So hopefully she appreciates the opportunity. Let's see what she had to say. Quote, it definitely did make me pause, but I was confident that it wouldn't affect enrollment numbers that much. But unfortunately, the opposite of that happened, she said. Anand said diversity on campus can help shape a more globally minded student body at institutions such as MIT. She's literally 18 years old, and she's telling us we're trying to get educated by Nana Anand, who's not actually been to college yet, comes from Ghana, probably pretty smart. But what the hell does she know about it? Why would we be listening to her about trying to create a global diversity message or something like that? Globally minded people in a student body. I mean, it's not like she knows what she's talking about, but it's at least entertaining to listen to. Quote, MIT, it's an engineering school. We're making solutions. We're thinking about you're just getting an opportunity to start at this school. You're not creating any solutions. You're just going to school. You might not even make it through. But here's what she had to say. We're thinking about how we would make the world a better place. And the world is inhabited by so many different people and so many diverse people, she said. If they don't have a seat at the table, then we will not be able to account for them when we are making these solutions. They're just human beings. If you're able to make it through MIT, and you do come up with some solutions, and MIT really is an excellent school. They do have some brilliant people there, and they have an excellent PhD program. The people of the world can benefit regardless of their skin color if they actually come up with some great solutions. This particular 18-year-old, like the 19-year-old, doesn't need to worry about that. Elise Wingard, a senior at MIT from Miami studying physics and computer science, found it disturbing that the percentage of students of color, particularly among the incoming black freshmen, fell from previous years. Diversity on campus has enriched her education, she says. Now, she's at least a senior. She's been there for a few years. Let's hear how she's benefited from diversity. Quote, I've learned a lot from students from different places around the world about their culture, said Wingard, who described herself as mixed race. Also, just in general about how they approach problems and technically solving things. So that's very important. People of different skin colors are really solving problems in actual different ways. And she studies physics. There are some very straightforward ways that you solve problems in physics. This is hard sciences. There are actual rules, policies, procedures, things to analyze in a very consistent, linear, and coherent way. It doesn't matter what your sexual preference is. It doesn't matter what your skin color is. It doesn't matter what country you came here from. If you're a physicist, you have a very specific way of looking at the world. It doesn't change based on your skin color. Without affirmative action, she hopes the university can find ways to attract more students of color in years to come. Stu Schimmel, MIT's Dean of Admissions and Student Financial Services, acknowledged in a recent Globe interview that the decline in the numbers of students of color on campus raises concern on the Cambridge campus and reiterated the school's commitment to diversity. Quote, I want to emphasize, academic excellence and diversity coexist, he said. What do you mean they coexist? What kind of statement is that? Academic excellence and diversity coexist. So you can have diversity and you can have academic excellence. Okay, no one's saying you can't, but you do have to have a standard that everyone can accomplish. You can accomplish anything. It doesn't matter what your skin color is or your sexual preference, but you have to do the work. That's it. And at Amherst College, Adam Johnson Hill, a 21-year-old senior, noticed a shift during orientation. The university based in Western Massachusetts reported that 38% of this year's incoming freshman class identified as students of color, compared with 47% in 2023. Quote, I was seeing the students come on campus and there was a visible decline in the number of minority students of color. He went on to give us this brilliant insight. Quote, I was seeing the students come on campus and there was a visible decline in the number of minority students of color, according to Johnson Hill, who's from New York City and a leader of the Black Student Union. Johnson Hill said part of why he enjoyed attending Amherst was the guidance and mentorship he received from a variety of older students over the years. Michael Elliott, president of Amherst College, said in a letter to the university last month that the admission landscape post-affirmative action struck, quote, at the heart of our efforts to build a diverse learning community. He said the institution was committed to educating exceptional students from all backgrounds. Amherst has a student body of about 1,900. Johnson Hill said for some students who may be coming from other parts of the country, it can take time to adjust, making it even more critical to have a diverse campus. Yeah, that's a good idea. You should only set up your admissions process based on trying to make it easy for people to acclimate. So just basically pick one skin color and only let those people into your college or your university because it might be easier for everyone to acclimate. No, you have to create objective standards that everyone has an opportunity to accomplish. If you're not going to do that, then what are you doing at a learning institution? Is this a kindergarten or is this a university? But when you don't have people who look like you, have a similar background as you, it can be more difficult to build community, he said. It helps to have people that are going through a similar experience with you or have gone through a similar experience to give advice. The feedback that I'm hearing from these students is pretty silly. 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, a couple of people that were seniors that did make it through a few years at their university. Okay, it's feedback. Everyone has a right to their own opinion and they have a right to give feedback. But you have to have objective systems for measuring success, for giving people opportunities. There has to be a way that you can decide, not based on skin color or gender or sexual preference, if you belong at a certain institution, or if you belong at a certain company. If you've accomplished what you've been able to accomplish, that you belong in the spot that you're in, that you actually earned it. The reason you have things like that is not to discriminate against people, not to limit people from seeing people that look like them or might have the same sexual preferences as you. Not everything is a social environment. With the social environment being the highest priority for every institution. First has to come an unquestionable, limited, merit-based environment that everyone there on a base level deserves and belongs to be there based on what they've accomplished and how they present themselves. That's discriminatory, but it's discriminatory based on merit so that it's fair for everyone in each situation. And it gives them an opportunity to go somewhere where they're going to benefit from the experience. And it doesn't take away from the rest of the students who are able to function at a high enough level that they can benefit from their very expensive education. If you have a couple of dumb students, regardless of their skin color, whoever they happen to be, or their sexual preference, or their religion, if there are students that can't keep up, it slows down the rest of the students. These are supposed to be the future leaders of society. You can't have a leader if they're not capable. And if they don't belong in the school, they shouldn't be in the school. It doesn't matter what they look like. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.